Hello. So today we're going to be doing subtracting mixed numbers, which is 11, 6. To be completely honest, this is the last section of this chapter we're going to do, and it is a little more challenging than the other ones. So I'm just going to start with some examples, and then that way I can do more examples with you. So here is our problem. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing we've been doing in the sense of, first thing, finding that common denominator. Okay, so we have 4 and 3. So we have 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12. So we know 12 is going to be our denominator. Okay, remember whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. So we are going to have 3/12. Here, whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. Okay, so we have 8. Now here's where it gets tricky. So notice this number is smaller than this number, okay, and we can't have a negative. So we're actually going to have to borrow from this whole number here. So I'm going to borrow from here, and I get 3, okay? Now, I'm going to have to add a whole number onto here. Now remember, a whole number is the same thing as saying like 12 over 12. I could even do 8 over 8, but I'm actually going to choose the same whole number that has the same denominator as the other ones, because then I would have to do this again and find another one. So what we're going to do is we've borrowed from our whole number, and we're going to add it to this number so that this number is larger than this number, and we're able to subtract it. Okay, so 3 plus 12 is 15. Okay, and denominator stays the same. All right, now we can actually solve this problem. So we have 3 minus 1 is 2, and then 15 minus 8 is 7. And the denominator stays the same. Okay, so this would be our answer. So here is where it gets a little complicated, is just adding this whole number here, so that way you have a numerator that is compatible for solving this problem. So that's kind of the big step right here, is this, okay? So taking 1 away from the whole number and making it into a fraction, and then adding that, and then that way you can solve the problem. Okay, so we're going to do a couple more. Okay, so let's try number 1. So let's pick another color. We have 7 and 2/3 minus 3 and 5/6. Okay, so again, first thing we're going to do is find that common denominator. And if you're at this point too, when you look, and because you've been doing this now, and you go, oh, I already know it's going to be 6, that's okay too. You don't have to show me the work there. It's just, again, it's better to use the least common multiple as your common denominator, because then you're working with smaller numbers, which is always nice. So whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. Whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. Okay? So here, again, we have a smaller numerator here and a bigger denominator, so we need to borrow from our whole number. Now, remember, last problem I'd use 12, because if I have any whole number, it can be 8 over 8, 7 over 7, 6 over 6, 5 over 5. So those are all representative of one whole. So since this is one whole and I have 6 as my denominator, I'm actually going to use 6 and do 6 over 6, because then again, I don't have to find another common denominator. Okay, so just a reminder, we add these together. So we have 4 plus 6 is 10. Denominator stays the same. So now I'm going to start here first. 6 minus 3 is 3. 10 minus 5 is 5. And then denominator stays the same. Okay? We'll do some more. So this is kind of something too that once you do numerous problems, then it will be helpful. So I'll do number, oh, this is a good one. Okay, so let's look at number 2. So in this one we have 5 minus 2 3/4. Okay, so this is the most common thing that people do is they'll go, oh, 5 minus 2 is 3, and then, oh, it's 3/4. Okay, do not do this because that is not going to be how you get the answer. So what we actually have to do is we have to borrow and put a fraction in this space here. Okay, so I'm going to borrow from my 5. Okay, so that becomes a 4. And then here, since I already have 4 as my denominator, that's what I'm going to make my whole number. Okay, now because I don't have any fraction here, I don't need to add anything to this one. So I can just actually solve it directly. So 4 minus 2 is 2. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then your denominator stays the same. Okay, so your answer would be 2 1/4 there. Okay, so again, when you have just a whole number, don't just bring down the fraction or else you're going to get the wrong answer there. All right, and do 3. So 6 3/10 minus 1 4/5. Okay, so again, I'm going to come over here and I have 10 and 5. Okay, 5 times 2 is 10. So I actually already have my common denominator. So we have 10 and 10. Okay, whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. Whatever you do on the bottom, you must do on the top. Okay, so here we have, again, 3 minus 8. So obviously we can't solve that one. So we're going to borrow from our 6. Okay, and then because I already have 10 as my denominator, I'm going to use 10 over 10 because it makes it easier. Ooh. Okay, so 3/10 plus 10/10, or 1 whole, would be 13 over 10. Okay, so 13 minus 8 is 5. Our denominator stays the same. Okay, so we have 4 5/10. And then here, don't forget you have to reduce. And then a lot of times you just want to kind of stop here, but make sure that you are rewriting your answer so I know what your answer is. So if you had like 4 1/2. And then one thing I really like that you guys have been doing is you've been doing this and you've been circling them or you've been highlighting them. And honestly, that's super helpful because Mrs. Barron and I just kind of glance over the work the best that we can because it's really tough to do all the assignments daily. Or I love too how you do like a question mark or you reach out to me. So if you don't understand a problem or you don't get it, just shoot me a message and say, Mrs. Felty, I don't get number 6. And then what I can do is I can log on and show you how to do it step by step. All right, we'll do one more. So we'll do 9 1/3 minus 4 3/4. And I'm actually doing some of your homework problems because that way you can see how to do those. So hopefully that helps guide you. And yes, you do still need to do them yourself. All right, so find the least common multiple. Okay, so here we would have 12. So I have 12 and 12. Okay, remember whatever I do on the bottom must do on the top. Whatever I do on the bottom must do on the top. Okay, so I have 4 and 9. All right, and then I'm going to come over to this side. I'm going to borrow. And because I have 12 as my denominator, I'm just going to do 12 over 12, and then it makes it easy. Okay. So I have 4 plus 12, which is 16, or 12. Okay, so then I'm going to do 16 minus 9, and I get 7 for 12. So 4 and 7 over 12. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, just reach out. I know this is a tough chapter, but once you do a couple of the problems, it's going to be such a breeze. So again, make sure that you pay attention to that sign. So when you have the subtraction, you are going to end up having to do the borrowing. So that's kind of the new step that we have today. All right, and that is pretty much it. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I miss you very much.